During the nearly 20-year playoff drought the Detroit Tigers suffered through, they didn't have a lot to cheer for. You did have Cecil Fielder mashing balls, Mickey Tettleton being a great catcher, and the old memories of the great 1984 Tigers. During this time period, the Tigers fielded multiple 100-loss teams, and this led to what is, in my opinion, one of the most unfortunately timed careers in baseball history. Bobby Higginson was drafted out of Temple by the Tigers in the 12th round. He spent 3 years in the minors and played 131 games his rookie year. He didn't do too bad, hitting 14 homers with a .224 average, but his second year would be the first of multiple that probably would have gotten him put on an all-star team if he played for a playoff-level franchise. 26 home runs, 81 RBIs, and a .320 average in 130 games, and as would be kind of a consistent theme in Bobby's career, some pretty good outfield play. What did the rest of the Tigers do while Bobby was hitting the cover off the ball? They lost 109 games. In '97, he hit 4 home runs in 4 consecutive at-bats, which tied an MLB record. Also, he had a casual 29 home run, 101 RBI, .299 average season. Still no All-Star selection. 1998 was a step back, but still very good. He broke up Roy Halladay's near no-hitter, which was fun. Then in 1999, he was hurt and his stats took a big step back. But then he rebounded in 2000 to have the best season of his whole career. 30 home runs, 102 RBIs, and a .300 average. His WAR that year was a 5.3. And guess what? Still no national awards at all. He won Tiger of the Year, but no All-Star, no Silver Slugger, nothing. He did take his anger out on the White Sox during a bench-clearing brawl, so there's that, and sadly, he would never have a year like that again. He did still have respectable numbers from 2001 to 2004, and was still one of the best players on the Tigers. He even got his own theme song one year.
Getting higgy with it. Getting higgy with it.
But he was starting to get past his prime, and was never an all-star level player again. He could still produce for a team that didn't deserve him though. Then in 2005, he suffered a really bad elbow injury, only playing 10 games that year. That same elbow injury would force him into retirement. But you know what the worst part of that is? The year after he retired, the Tigers go all the way to the World Series. Bobby had never played on a single winning team in his whole career, but the moment he stops playing baseball, the team he spent his whole time in the majors with goes all the way. You want to know just how bad the Tigers were when Bobby was there? From 1995 to 2005, they went 712 and 1,050. That's a winning percentage of .404 across 11 seasons. That span included 3 100-loss years, and 5 90-loss years. 8 90-loss years if you include the 100-loss seasons. 0 years above 500, and one of the worst teams in the history of baseball in 2003. What's crazier is that Bobby chose to stay. He signed 2 contracts with Detroit after his rookie deal ended. He chose twice to continue going through this year after year. And I admire that. His time with the Tigers was not all bad. Bobby ranks in the top 20 in basically every single offensive category in Tigers history. I could be wrong when I say this, but I believe Bobby is one of the best players to never make an all-star team. I don't have a whole lot to back that up, but I will say this. Out of guys who have 180 home runs, 700 RBIs, 90 stolen bases, and a .270 average in 11 seasons, there are only 4 players, and Bobby Higginson is the only one to never be named an all-star. And if he played on at least one decent team, he probably would have made an all-star team. But he played for a franchise that was terrible. And not only in the sport of baseball was he overshadowed, but in the city they were overshadowed. The Red Wings and Pistons were thriving during this time, but the Tigers were bad. The Tigers actually had a few other good players during this time that really don't get the appreciation that they deserve. It's a time period that people just don't like to think about very often. That's why I admire his loyalty so much. In recent years, players who are loyal get laughed at. Fans complain about guys switching teams too much, but then make jokes when a guy actually sticks with a franchise through all the bad times. This wasn't even some Damian Lillard situation either, where once upon a time, earlier in his career, the team that he played for was great, or even a playoff level team. When Bobby was drafted, the Tigers were 5 years into the playoff drought. When he eventually made it up to the majors, they were pushing 10 years. He knew this team was bad when he was drafted. He knew they were bad when he made his debut. But when it came time to re-up on his contract, he kept on choosing to come back. He gave this franchise everything he had. He even got ejected from multiple games because he would argue with umpires too much, so it's not like he was checked out of the game or anything. Similar to the fans of this team, he wanted to win every game, even when the season was lost. And that's the main thing that a lot of people remember about Higgy. He was praised as a guy that gave it everything he had every single game, 100%, no stop. And doing that for a team that has been terrible your whole time there, and is in the middle of one of the worst stretches in franchise history, it's really impressive that he was able to do that. And that's why I wanted to make this video on Bobby Higginson.
Right, nigga, put it in the blender. Hell yeah, I'm Wingstop. Jump on the chicken tender. It's like the beef with energy and water like timber. Hey, turning, looking like dinner. It's like got the bad boy or girl.